What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, in honor of it being October, we decided to review a potentially terrifying game. Well, it is at least based on a horror franchise. This is Aliens Bug Hunt, designed by Ryan Miller and published by Upper Deck. Now, Julie's going to take it away and tell you more about the game itself.
It is a cooperative game, plays 1 to 4 players, intended for ages 17 and above. The box says plays in 60 minutes. It took us less time than that, but we were playing 2 players. So 4 players probably right around that 60-minute mark.
And I've heard of some people playing solo getting closer to that 25, 30-minute mark. Now, with regards to the ages, I think you can go a lot younger than 17.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more for the franchise than anything else, and it's not that scary imagery. So depending on your child's capabilities, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, depending on what your child's into, if some terrifying images, like minor terrifying images, will bother them, skip this game. Otherwise,
they're not terrifying. If pictures of aliens will scare your kid, then don't play the game.
Okay, yeah, I think that summarizes it. So what are you going to be doing in Aliens Bug Hunt? Well, you're going to start off at your APC. You're moving into a complex on planet LV-426. You're going to be taking on the roles of famous characters from the film Aliens. And as you move through the complex, you must complete 3 missions, gain 9 objectives, and once you've done that, well, you can escape before the xenomorphs overrun you and the complex, and you will befall a grim, grisly, disgusting fate as they feast on your entrails. I was trying to figure out a way to say it and choked on it a little bit, but I managed to get it out there. So what do we need to do now, Julie?
We're going to grab our drinks.
Grab our fellow platoon member. We're not squad mates in this one.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. Let's see if we can escape that complex. Now we're going to take a look at the components for Aliens Bug Hunt. Now we're not going to start with the rules dossier. That'll be last. You'll see why when I get there. So we will start with what is known as the APC tile. You can see the armored personnel carrier right here. It details what will happen in a xenomorph phase. You also have the space for the 5 sectors of the board. Don't worry, that'll make sense when we show you the setup. And we do need this nice tracker here in order to keep track of where we are on this track, the hive track. And yes, this symbol does mean you'll be going into a xenomorph phase, so you will start the game going into one. Now, we'll take a look at these tiles. There are a total of 30 of them. You will have different locations. This is how you enter that location. Now, this tells you how many xenomorphs you need to spawn. If you happen to go into a location with a hive, these are barricades, which will affect movement. Then we also have the objective tokens that you may find. So, as you can see, fairly straightforward, not too many differences in any of the tiles except with regards to the amount of barricades and if you'll be able to locate an objective. Now we'll take a quick look at the player boards. There are 4 of them. You have the turn sequence detailed right here, and they're identical, just different colors so that you can tell each player apart. You do have the point man, which is right here, and we'll detail that when we explain how to play. We've got the different colored bases to help you tell your different squads apart. And right now, if you take a look, there are 4 minis. Well, not right now, but if you look at the minis, there isn't too much detail. I don't really think that they're based necessarily on a specific character, except for one of them, which definitely looks like Vasquez, which will be the one that I'm going to show you right here. Now, these minis are just there to represent your squad, which will be made up of multiple characters. So let's take a look at who we have for characters. So we've got Drake, Bishop, Hudson, and each of them has a nice quote from the movie, and they all have a different firepower rating, a health rating, and different abilities. So you see, like, Rizbowski, he gets +1 firepower for each other squad in your tile. Lieutenant Gorman may be depleted in order to ready any other character. We're not going to go through all of them. Ripley's pretty cool. She actually gets another named character when she starts. We've got Vasquez, who gets +2 firepower while there are no xenomorphs around her. Hicks, who's pretty awesome. He can shoot xenomorphs that come at him. Frost, Dietrich. Then we've got We have a grunt that tried to steal Apone spot. So Apone, you've got more movement. And then grunts, which your squad will be made up of. So in most cases, it's one character and 2 grunts. Unless you want to make the game easier or more challenging, you could even play with 3 grunts, but don't think there's enough for you to play a full game like that. So there you have it. Those are the characters that we have for Aliens Bug Hunt. We'll take a quick look at the tracking cards here. So we have the tracking ones that will tell you where a xenomorphs will spawn in the phase in any of these 5 different sectors. Now, if you do have one that has text, you must spawn and then resolve the text. Not all of them do. As you can see, you may just get 5 xenomorphs in Sector 3. And we'll go over the rules with regards to spawning when we start setting up the game. Now, there are a variety of missions. So, for example, Burning Clear. Activate whenever a squad shoots. They may target an additional 3 xenomorphs in their tile. To be able to use this ability, you have to find 3 objective tokens. So here we've got the objective tokens that go on the card face up. Then you turn them face down to signal that you've used the ability. So you can use them 3 times, and you'll be getting a total of 3 missions at the start of the game. You must complete all 3 in order to win the game. Now we've got the phase cards, which are straightforward. All these are the same. They're just +1 to the hive track. You do get a cool quote from the films, and they're definitely identical. You do get this one, which will let you choose which squad will take a turn. And then you've got 3 activations for each squad, and just had a few of those alien ones out of order. Here, for regards to the token, we already saw the objective tokens. We've got these breachers, which we'll use to break through barricades to clear the hallways. Then we've got the glory tokens, the damage tokens, and you'll notice that some are blank on one side, others have KIA on the other side. That'll come into play after your characters take damage. Now let's take a look at the rules dossier, the thing that I dislike the most about the game, and I do highly suggest you take a look down below in the video description and just take a look at the combined rulebook in order to do something that was thematic and a little fun. The rules are split up into 4 different roles, which is definitely fits with the theme as to being colonial marines, but makes the learning process of the game harder and tries to get everyone doing a few actions or literally handing people components and setup. While fun and neat, it's definitely something that I dislike a lot about this game, and you're better off just using the combined rulebook. So there you have it. We've taken a look at the components for Aliens Bug Hunt. Now I'm going to teach you how to set up the game and then how to play. Apologies, fellow survivors of LV426. I was scared senseless by the xenomorphs that I forgot to mention them as we were taking a look at the components. So we'll take a look at these dice, and then we're going to go to our setup of the game. Now you get a whole slew of xenomorph dice. If they do run out, you will lose the game. Now there are different sides to the dice. You'll notice that there is one side that has these vicious teeth, meaning that the xenomorph will attack you. There are these claws, which means that it survives. And you notice that the other sides are all blank, meaning that you will successfully kill the xenomorph. When you're making an attack, you roll the die, and you may kill them, or they may damage you or try to engage you if you're in an adjacent space, or dodge the attack, or you just missed, and they are still alive. So there you have it. We've now covered the most terrifying part of Aliens Bug Hunt, the aliens themselves. So let's teach you how to set up and then how to play the game. Now we're going to teach you how to set up Aliens Bug Hunt. One thing I just want to tell everyone, we're not going to be doing a full playthrough of the game. That's why I don't need as much room. I think I've got a room here for about 3 or 4 tiles in length. So give yourself more space. Now we've got our missions set up. We've got the phase cards. We've got the tracking cards. Character cards are right here. We'll need to separate out the grunts. And then we'll need to have our named characters. Now the tiles you'll want to have face down near the play area, and you'll want to shuffle them up. This one's actually snuck in there as a face up tile. I'll get that fixed and put to the bottom. So I'm going to have these just off the camera. We also have the xenomorph dice readily available. We will set the hive tracker at space 1 and also have some of the other tokens that I'll be needing right near me and readily available. So first things first, we're going to go through how normally you would deal the characters. You would just shuffle up the character cards, and then based on the number of players you have, you would deal out a character. So blue would be Lieutenant Gorman, and player 2 would be Hudson. Now, I don't want to use these characters for my playthrough. I want to do something a little bit more fun and give myself some characters that'll let us do some cool stuff. So in that case, I'm going to pick Ripley, and let's see who we want to pair her up with. She is a little bit low on firepower, so she works great with Vasquez. Now that's her ability during setup. You replace one of your grunts with a named character, and just because I've always liked the character, we're going to pick Hicks, and he will have 2 grunts. Now, that's all I'm going to need from the characters. These can then be returned to the game box. Now, with regards to the phase cards, you're going to want to set aside an equal number of alien phase cards, well, xenomorph cards, for equal the amount of players that you have. You then set aside the lieutenant commander, choose a squad to take a turn, and you will pick the 3 activation for, I think I've got a green that slipped in here. Nope. The 3 activations for the 2 colors of squads that you are. You'll place your squads bases on their minis and get them set up at the entrance. Now, it might seem like you're getting a lot more turns than the aliens. Don't worry, it all balances out. Next, you want to have the missions that you need to complete. So we'll just shuffle this up once or twice. You'll deal out 3 missions that you will need to complete before the end of the game. So there we go. We've got the missions, and hopefully everything is staying on camera. I'll slide down a few things. I know I got a little bit more room. And there we go. In any case, if it's cut off a little bit, I do apologize, but we've got everything that we need. Our phase cards are set up. Now, the last thing that we need to do is start the spawning. So we'll shuffle the alien tracking deck, and we're going to get some xenomorphs into our complex. Now, as we don't have any tiles out, it doesn't matter. We don't need to worry about that. We will still spawn the xenomorphs just in the sector. Now, there are some different rules for spawning, and I'll go over that as we get into the actual how to play. Normally, you'd be trying to find the hive symbols on tiles, but if you do not find those hive symbols, you'll either place these xenomorphs at the end of the row, or if it's as so, no tiles out, they just go at the start of the sector near the entrance. So this we won't need to keep on camera. And there you have it. We've now set up Aliens Bug Hunt, and I'm going to teach you how to play the game. Now let's teach you how to play Aliens Bug Hunt. So we've actually completed the first phase here with the hive track, the xenomorph phase. We did the spawning, the aliens are out. Now what we need to do is, once again, just shuffle up these fave cards, and we will reveal the first card. So this is an alien phase, a xenomorph phase. We will just move that up by 1. Luckily, nothing negative happens to us. Now I'm just going to place these off camera. It's just a lot easier with the space that I have. Reveal the second card, so it is the blue player that will then activate, meaning it'll be Ripley and Vasquez's squad. Now, the first step of the turn is movement. If you choose to take an action, you will forfeit your movement. You cannot do it later on. There are also rules about movement. For example, you may not move if you're surrounded by xenomorphs. So that's where having more activations than the xenomorphs comes in. So first things first, we're going to move into the complex. So we will draw, and I'm only going to bring these on camera once. We'll draw the top tile. Luckily enough, we find an objective, but we spawn a xenomorph. So you always place this light at the entry point. So we'll now need to put an objective token as well as spawn a xenomorph in the tile. Well, this gives us a perfect example as to what we can do. So we've got a few other options. So one is shoot, where we can attack the xenomorph, or we may capture an objective. Now, we don't necessarily want to do that. We'd like to have some more options potentially for Hicks's squad. So instead of capturing the objective, to do that, we would just basically pick the objective, put it on any mission that we so choose. That would just end our turn. We draw another phase card, but we're going to do the shoot action instead. So to do that, we need to deplete a character. Now, when you deplete a character, you may target any xenomorphs that are in the same space as you or in an adjacent space that do not have a barrier. These two have barriers, and just to bring it close up, these are barriers that you cannot shoot through. Therefore, you would have to either breach the barrier and then shoot at a later time. So we're going to deplete the grunt. Now we can maximum target 2 xenomorphs, and we cannot shoot the xenomorph twice. We only get one chance to get it off the board. So luckily we did not get these claw marks, meaning it survived, or the teeth, meaning that as it is in the same space as me, I would be taking a damage on my grunt. So everything went well. The xenomorph is defeated. It is returned to the xenomorph pool. And that is the end of the turn. So we'll flip over the next activation card, which is yellow. So it's Hicks's turn. Now, having an objective at the beginning is pretty cool. I can choose to move here and potentially continue my movement, or if I hop over this barricade, this barrier, or this barrier over here, it's going to end my movement because it takes 2 movement points. But we got this batch of xenomorphs that's, I don't like where they are. They may actually end up being able to escape. So we're going to move to engage them. Another objective tile, I probably need to shuffle a little bit better. So I'll move here, place the objective, and also spawn 2 xenomorphs. Now, one thing that you notice right here, we do have the open path, meaning I can actually target multiple xenomorphs. So this is great because what I'm going to do is, instead of depleting 1 grunt, I'm going to deplete 2 grunts, and I'm able to target 4 xenomorphs. So I have to shoot the ones in my space. I can then choose to target the other ones. Now it's very important you roll the xenomorph die 1 at a time. So that is 1. That is 2. They're both defeated. We'll then try with the adjacent ones. And this one stays alive. Now, that is the end of the turn. So we will then flip over another card. It is Ripley's turn. And now this objective is easy to get, but we may want to actually have it. As I'm not doing a full playthrough, I will actually pick it up and place it here. So activate at any time to ready any character. So that can be pretty cool. So that ends my turn. I didn't take my movement, so nothing else that I can do. The next card, it is yellow's turn. I will also pick up the objective token just because it'll let me show you how to use a mission. That is the end of the turn. Reveal the next card. So it is once again Ripley's turn. We're going to continue exploring, moving 1 into the complex. And we can continue moving and decide to shoot at these xenomorphs. I'm going to continue moving. Probably want to kill them. We really don't want them to escape. I'll go over that in just a moment. So we'll move here. Just another step through the complex. And luckily this is open, so you know what? Since I don't want these guys to escape, we will circle back. And I will be able to shoot them. Now, how can a xenomorph escape? So we'll talk about that quickly just because I don't know if I'm going to get a better chance to show you. Is that after 2 xenomorph phase, once they move to a place that is open, that there's an exit. If they so happen to move and escape, you move up one on the hive track. Doesn't matter how many of them escape, you just move up one. However, if xenomorphs escape from here and from here, you'd go up two on the hive track. Now, xenomorphs will target players before they try to escape. So that's all detailed in the rulebook. So for example, they're not going to try to go here right now. They're going to come after Ripley and Vasquez. Like these xenomorphs, aliens, I'm going to probably mix it up throughout the whole thing, would go after Hicks and attack Hicks and not escape. Now, we can use Vasquez with her special ability. She gets +2 firepower if there are no xenomorphs in your tile, which is perfect. So I can target all three of them. So that's one. Oh, this one now moves to engage me. And this one dies. Now, if this had been in my space, the damage would be dealt to the character that is shooting, not to your point man. So this character, the point man, will only take damage if a xenomorph would attack you during a xenomorph phase at the start. Well, at the start of the phase, actually. So we're going to play through at least until we see that. So we will reveal cards. So it is the second xenomorph card. It just goes up by one. Draw another card. So it's Hicks. And, well, we'll shoot with Hicks. I want to get these xenomorphs out of there before we move. That's one gone. That's two gone. That's the end of his turn. And I believe the last card we get to make a choice. Now this is where strategy comes into play, because do I want to activate Hicks or let Ripley reset her characters? Now you may be wondering why I'm saying that. Ripley actually can only shoot when there is an objective token in her space. That's her ability. That's why you get the main character. So we're going to use the reload action to teach it to you. What you do is you reload your depleted characters and they're ready to go. So now what we're going to do is reshuffle the cards and we're going to continue playing. So it is Hicks's turn. We definitely want to move. We could reload, but we'll do that afterwards. So we're going to move up. Moving one. We'll spend 2 movement to jump barricade. And we then have 2 xenomorphs that spawn. And an objective token. Well, I can capture the objective token, which is what I'm going to do because I'd like to showcase that. Probably in all reality, I should have reloaded, but this works with what I'm trying to accomplish. So we will then reveal the next phase card. It is Hicks again. Now, what I can do actually is I can use this to ready a character so that I don't have to use a full action to reload, because we do have a chance that they will attack, and then deplete my grunt. But did not go over well. We do defeat one of them, but my grunt does take damage. Now, how would your point man die, and what would happen if your point man dies? So we'll just imagine that that was actually the 4th damage that the grunt had taken. If that was the case, you then, well, this will be the 5th. So once they have 4, you flip over a token. If it's blank, they're okay. If it's KIA, they die. You then remove the character and you slide everyone down. So that is not the case though. We have just the 1 hit on our grunt. So reveal the next card. Guess I didn't do a good job shuffling. All I can really do actually is reload. It's not very fun. I could use that again, but it's not necessarily a great strategy. I do get the chance to go, and we're going to take the chance to try to get rid of this xenomorph. Now remember what I said. I cannot move out of a space that there is a xenomorph. However, there is an exception to that rule, which I will go over now. If a squad is adjacent, so essentially something that could be providing cover fire, you can move to an adjacent squad. That's the only way that you can actually disengage when a xenomorph is present in your location. Now, I'm going to try to shoot. And luckily, we do defeat the xenomorph. So we'll draw the next card. It's Ripley. So that damages our grunt. Worst roll possible. So it is now the xenomorph phase. So we will have the xenomorph squads attack. There is no defending. We will take the damage. So xenomorphs that are on tiles would move one space. This is how, say if a xenomorph was there, they would escape and move off the board. Next, we must draw and resolve a spawn card. And as it says, we have 3 xenomorphs that spawn in Sector 5. As this is the tile that is furthest back in Sector 5, well, too bad for us. That's where the xenomorphs show up. So Ripley is definitely in trouble. So as you can see, seems like we have a lot of advantage, but we don't really. Let's finish this set of cards. So it's Ripley's turn again, and we got so many xenomorphs, so we're going to refresh our grunt so that we can actually target all 4 of them. That's 1, 2, 3, and no luck, no luck. 1 more damage on our grunt. Once again, Ripley's turn. All I can really do here is reload. And then lastly, it is the alien's turn. Now we go up here, and then we would, of course, reshuffle the phase cards. I just want to be clear as to how breaching would work. So let's say, for example, so we're going to move this one off. I'm spend 2 movement points. I want to clear a space out. When I make breach, this is now considered clear as an action, and I can move back that space using only 1 movement point. It is definitely very straightforward. That is how it works. So there you have it. That is the overview as to what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be playing Aliens Bug Hunt. You must complete all 3 missions and escape to Sector 3. Well, out by Sector 3, get in the APC in order to win the game. If any squads are defeated, you will lose the game. If your supply of xenomorphs is ever defeated, you will lose the game. So there you have it. Now Julie and I are going to be coming back at you with our review of the game. And I'm back with one last very important aspect of the how to play that I did neglect. It will explain how your squads of colonial marines are going to get into a lot of trouble, and that's what happens when you get to the end of the hive track. Now, once you get to the end of the hive track, you go back to the beginning. That gives you a very short amount of time between a xenomorph phase at 8 and then the one that will happen again at 1. That's right, you have to redo it. But what is the most dangerous part about that is you will. So we had, and I just placed these at the bottom. These were the cards that we had for character phases. What happens is, once you go around, you take another xenomorph card and you add it to the phase deck. So as this keeps going up, and if you've got xenomorphs that are escaping, it'll go up faster and faster. You'll keep adding more and more and more cards into the deck, meaning that you'll have a better opportunity to become overwhelmed. So there you have it, that one last key aspect that I neglected to mention. So we've gone over it. Now Julie and I, for real, are getting the heck out of this complex and off of LV426 and bringing you our review of the game. Now, before we get into the review, we should tell our viewers who's the fan of the franchise. That's me. I quite enjoy Aliens. Not a fan of the entire franchise. Well, the James Cameron one is more of an action movie than a horror movie, or about 50-50. I do love the original. The other ones were more take it or leave it with. So Julie is not a fan. I don't think you've actually seen any of the movies.
I think somebody forced me to watch one of them when I was a teen, but I'm not a big fan. Funny, I love Alien concept, but not Aliens the movie.
Okay, so tell our viewers, what did you think of the game?
Well, it's an interesting game. I mean, it's cooperative and it really does play cooperatively. So I think that that's fun. The cards themselves I guess I'm going back and forth a little bit. Let's talk about the game and we'll talk about the production value. It's an easy game, and for that, I think it definitely it was definitely interesting. It's not a very complex game. It's easy to play, easy to learn, and
But is it easy to win?
It's not incredibly difficult to win, but it's not like it's the easiest thing. I think it's easy on the easy side for us because it's not complex and we're used to some pretty difficult cooperative games, the ones that, you really have to work together to win the game. In this case, you have to have a little bit of strategy, but I didn't find it's not very high on the strategy meter, I would say.
Oh, and I have to agree with you. If we're going to talk about the difficulty, I would say that it's random. I do feel that if you have more players, it is going to be a lot more difficult, just because you're going to have the alien hive track going up quicker. So even with more players, as the squads can almost only have one action per turn, it will definitely be more limiting. You're going to have a lot more xenomorphs that you'll be facing. And as we saw in our first play, we had our objective tiles at the end of the nice stack. We had quite a few early on, and we just got swarmed and overrun by the xenomorphs. So there is that random element that's really going to decide the difficulty level. I'd love to say that you're going to get a hard or an easy experience out of the box. There are some rules in the rule books, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that explain how to raise or lower the difficulty if you so choose. Like if you just want to have a good fun time with this, well, instead of having a squad, your named character, you can have all three characters be named and have just a good time ripping it up in the complex.
Yeah, speaking of that, the named characters all have a different ability. And I played with a couple of different ones, and I repeat myself every week. I'm not great at remembering the names of characters unless I actually know the IP and they mean something to me. But some of them are, I would say some of them are better than others when it comes to the abilities. And I think that's true of a lot of games. But in this case, there was one of my characters that every time an alien spawned on my square that I was in, one of them went back automatically to the pool, which was extremely powerful.
No, that was a fantastic ability. And for those of you wondering what characters are in the game, it's pretty much all the named characters, ranging from Private Hudson, Vasquez, Apone, Lieutenant Gorman, Hicks, Dietrich, and I'm drawing blanks on all of them because I do not remember the squad entirely. And of course, you've got the famous as well as infamous Ellen Ripley. Gotta love Sigourney Weaver.
So the randomness was a little bit annoying at times because it's hard when all your objective tokens are coming out all at the same time at the end. And also when it comes to the different alien spawning cards, we were lucky at one point to get a couple of alien spawning cards that spawn three, four, but when you're spawning 6 and then 6 again and then 6 again.
There was that one that was like 10 aliens that spawned. That was quite challenging, and I think that's what finally did us in.
So, this is an easy to play game, easy to set up, I think. Easy to tear down. So it's I call this an easy weeknight instead of TV kind of game.
No, and I have to agree with you. That's the nice thing about the game. It is definitely lighter fare, and it's not going to be too challenging. Especially if you have a lot of experience playing cooperatively, this could almost be a filler game, something that you can get to the table before the meat of game night, especially if you're going to be playing with just 2 players. Now, the one thing I will say that is not easy, because they try to divide the learning up into a group of 4, is the rulebook. The rulebook is trash. It should be thrown in the garbage. It should be burnt. I don't like it. Our first few plays, we spent way too much time flipping through the book just to try to figure it out. Now, is the presentation of the rulebook thematic? Yes. Does it fit the overall feel of Alien? Getting a mission dossier, handing it out to the different members of the Marine platoons, and going through it together? Yeah, great idea. But let's be honest. When you're having a game night or when you're going to be teaching someone, one person learns the game. And to have just the one thing that frustrates me along the rulebook, it tells you to literally give components to another player that's going to be using it. It's pointless. It's a waste of time. When you're trying to figure out a rule, it's just gets in the way. So don't like the rulebook. down below in the video description, there is a link to the combined rulebook, so you can just get the rules, set them up, and play the game. Don't have to worry about the rules of Intel Sergeant, Platoon Leader. I'm forgetting the other two right now because they're just, I don't know. Didn't like it. I get what the goal was, but I think it's very impractical, especially for a game that's supposed to be able to be played solo. I mean, you've got a solo game without a solo rule set. Well, they're solo rules, but they're just all over the place and you're trying to put it together.
We get it. You don't like the rule book.
I know. Sorry. Rant over.
So the other thing I found that I'm the one that shuffles the cards most often. And in this case, I found I was a little afraid to damage the cards. They didn't feel like they'd be easy to shuffle. There's not a lot of shuffling to be done, but I didn't love the quality.
Same quality as Legendary. And for those that follow the channel will know that we have sleeved all of our copies of Legendary just to make sure that the games last longer, we enjoy the games. So this is the typical upper deck quality for the games. It's decent, it's passable, but it's not something that you're going to be really excited about in the long term. Now, I did my rulebook rant. Other than that, I love the game. There is definitely some very hard decisions that have to be made. Well, not hard, but you've got to plan it out because movement is very tricky. The fact that you cannot disengage when there is a xenomorph in your space does make playing the game or planning things out a little more challenging, especially as you don't know when they're going to spawn as you're moving through the complex. Sometimes it might be better to get that objective token than defeating the xenomorph. Also, the random way that a character will die I thought was pretty cool with the glory tokens, and you might be KIA, you might not. That gives you sort of like that last ditch, Hail
Mary.
That Hail Mary feeling that like, oh my God, like I just got nicked by the acid, or like my body armor just finally fell off. So I think that is a cool aspect of the game. And one thing that I did feel was really thematic to Aliens as well as just any type of military game was the fact that you can disengage when there is a squad present. So that's
when you're backup, basically.
Yeah, with your backup, because they're like, shooting down the hallway, giving you cover fire, allowing you to disengage from the SH. You can figure out the rest of it that you got yourself into. And yes, it's Alien. They do swear, so I felt that was appropriate. So I think we're ready to score the game. The only thing we didn't really talk about was, how did you feel about the xenomorphs being represented as dice, not these scary miniatures or anything like that?
That was fine with me. I mean, I think it goes with the ease of playing the game, and it felt appropriate.
I have to agree with you now. I have seen some people that have taken some Alien minis and added them to the game just to sort of symbolize where they are. You can't replace all the dice with minis because you do need to roll the dice, but it is some little fun thing that you can add if you so choose. I don't think the game suffers from not having that physical representation of the alien. I actually think that it keeps the game more family friendly and also keeps it, the price down on the box. So no issues for us. I think that you get the theme, and rolling the dice and having it come up like as the alien's attacking you or moving to engage was definitely not terrifying, but it definitely goes with the theme of the game. Like, oh man, like they're coming. We got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your score for?
I'm going to let you score it. It's your IP.
Okay, so it's my IP. So I'm going to give Aliens Bug Hunt a 7. It's a solid game. It's not something that's going to come out to the table regularly, but it is something that's going to hang around in the collection for quite a while, just because of how easy it is to set up, get to the table, and teach. This was a little bit more complicated with similar production values, and the rule book was in the same state. I'd probably be giving it a little bit of a lower score. So definitely worth picking up. It's got the right price point. It's not going to break the wallet, and you'll be able to get to the table on a fairly regular basis if you so choose.
Well, I'm going to score it a little lower, actually. It's a 6.5 for me. It's a decent game. It's, I don't hate it. There's nothing that I absolutely, like I said, didn't hate it, but I also didn't love the game. I mean, I'm not clamoring to play this game again, unlike other games. There's a lot of games we've played recently that have gotten just a little bit higher than this that I'd be much more willing to bring back to the table. And there are other games that we've played recently that I played hours and hours and was happy to play. This one I was like, yeah, okay, I can play it again. So to be fair, to me, it's that makes it more of a 6.5. It passes, but it's not an absolute must in a collection as far as I'm concerned.
So, like I said, I don't think it's a must. I think it's a 7. I think it's solid. But the question is then, Julie, should this move out of our collection or should it stay?
I think you're going to decide based on the fact that you like the IP. There are some games that you don't like as much that I like the IP that we keep around, even though they're decent games.
Like the X-Files game, which I'm not sure is even a decent game, but...
So, anything to add before I say what time it is?
No, I think it's
time. It's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Apologies for that interruption. We had an insect decided to dive bomb one of our lights. So where were we going, Julie? You were saying it's time to...
like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
Also, take a look down below in the video description. You will find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Aliens Bug Hunt, well, they will be available on those feeds. Then popping up in front of me, there's going to be links to some of our previously released content. You can find our most recent released video in front of me, and in front of Julie, it will be our review of Nemesis, the closest game we have in our collection to Alien, and that is our review and how to play. So now what do we need to do?
Grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend.
Excuse my slurp. We're gonna keep playing games.
Keep playing games.